From the English Standard Version of the Bible, the English Standard Version of the Bible, Joshua chapters 11 through 15. When Jabin king of Hazor heard of this, he sent to Jobab king of Madon, and to the king of Shishron, and to the king of Aksaphah, and to the kings who were in the northern hill country, and in the Arabah south of Chinneroth, and in the lowland, and in Naphdor on the west, to the Canaanites in the east and the west, the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, in the hill country, and the Hivites under Hermon, in the land of Mizpah. And they came out with all their troops, a great horde, in number like the sand that is on the seashore, with very many horses and chariots. All these kings joined their forces and came to the encampment together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. And the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them, for tomorrow at this time I will give over all of them slain to Israel. You shall hamstring their horses and burn their chariots with fire." So Joshua and all his warriors came suddenly against them by the waters of Merom and fell upon them. And the Lord gave them into the hand of Israel, who struck them and chased them as far as Great Sidon and Misrephoth Maim, and eastward as far as the valley of Mizpah. And they struck them until he left none remaining. And Joshua did to them just as the Lord had said to him. He hamstrung their horses and burned their chariots with fire. And Joshua turned back at that time and captured Hazor and struck its king with the sword, for Hazor formerly was head of all these kingdoms. And they struck with the sword all who were in it, devoting them to destruction. There was none left that breathed, and he burned Hazor with fire. And all the cities of those kings and all their kings Joshua captured and struck them with the edge of the sword, devoting them to destruction, just as Moses the servant of the Lord had commanded. But none of the cities that stood on mounds did Israel burn, except Hazor alone. That Joshua burned. And all the spoil of those cities and the livestock the people of Israel took for their plunder. But every person they struck with the edge of the sword until they had destroyed them, and did not leave any who breathed. Just as the Lord had commanded Moses his servant, so Moses commanded Joshua, and so Joshua did. He left nothing undone of all that the Lord had commanded Moses. So Joshua took all that land, the hill country, and all the Negev, and all the land of Goshen, and the lowland, and the Arabah, and the hill country of Israel, and its lowland, from Mount Halak, which rises towards Seir, as far as Baalgad, and the valley of Lebanon, below Mount Hermon. And he captured all their kings, and struck them, and put them to death. Joshua made war a long time with those kings. There was not a city that made peace with the people of Israel, except the Hivites, in the inhabitants of Gibeon. They took them all in battle. For it was the Lord's doing to harden their hearts, that they should come against Israel in battle, in order that they should be devoted to destruction, and should receive no mercy, but be destroyed, just as the Lord commanded Moses. And Joshua came at that time, and cut off the Anakim from the hill country of Hebron, from Dibir to Anab, and from all the hill country of Judah, and from all the hill country of Israel. Joshua devoted them to destruction with their cities. There was none of the Anakim left in the land of the people of Israel. Only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod did some remain. So Joshua took the whole land, according to all that the Lord had spoken to Moses, and Joshua gave it for an inheritance to Israel, according to their tribal allotments, and the land had rest from war. Now these are the kings of the land whom the people of Israel defeated, and took possession of their land beyond the Jordan toward the sunrise, from the valley of Arnon to Mount Hermon, with all the Arabah eastward. Sihon, king of the Amorites, who lived at Heshbon, and ruled from Aroer, which is on the edge of the valley of Arnon, and from the middle of the valley as far as the river Jabbok, the boundary of the Ammonites, that is, half of Gilead, and the Arabah to the sea of Chinneroth eastward, and in the direction of Beth Jeshimon to the sea of the Arabah, the salt sea, southward to the foot of the slopes of Pisgah. And Og, king of Bashan, one of the remnant of the Rephaim, who lived at Ashtaroth and at Edrei, and ruled over Mount Hermon, and Selecah, and all Bashan to the boundary of the Geshurites, and the Maacathites, and over half of Gilead, to the boundary of Sihon, king of Heshbon. Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the people of Israel defeated them. And Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave their land for a possession to the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh. And these are the kings of the land whom Joshua and the people of Israel defeated on the west side of the Jordan, from Baal-Gad in the valley of Lebanon to Mount Halak, and that rises towards Seir. And Joshua gave their land to the tribes of Israel as a possession according to their allotments, in the hill country, in the lowland, in the Arabah, in the slopes of the wilderness, and in the Negeb, the land of the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. The king of Jericho won. The king of Ai, which is beside Bethel, won. The king of Jerusalem won. The king of Hebron won. The king of Jarmuth won. The king of Lachish won. The king of Eglon won. The king of Gezer won. The king of Debir won. The king of Geder won. The king of Hormah won. The king of Arid won. The king of Libnah won. The king of Adullam won. The king of Makkedah won. The king of Bethel won. The king of Tappuah won. The king of Hepher won. The king of Aphek won. The king of Lasharon won. The king of Madon won. The king of Hazor won. The king of Shimron Meron won. The king of Akshaph won. The king of Taanach won. The king of Megiddo won. The king of Kedesh won. The king of Jokneam in Carmel won. The king of Dor in Naphath Dor won. The king of Goim in Galilee won. The king of Tira won. In all, 31 kings. Now Joshua was old and advanced in years, and the Lord said to him, You are old and advanced in years, and there remains yet very much land to possess. This is the land that yet remains, all the regions of the Philistines, and all those of the Geshurites, from Shihor, which is east of Egypt, northward, to the boundary of Ekron. It is counted as Canaanite. There are 5 rulers of the Philistines, those of Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. And those of the Avim in the south, all the land of the Canaanites, and Mearah that belongs to the Sidonians, to Aphek, to the boundary of the Amorites, and the land of the Gebalites, and all Lebanon toward the sunrise, from Baal-Gad below Mount Hermon to Lebo Hamath, all the inhabitants of the hill country, from Lebanon to Misraphoth-Maim, and even all the Sidonians. I myself will drive them out from before the people of Israel. Only allot the land to Israel for an inheritance, as I have commanded you. Now therefore divide this land for an inheritance to the 9 tribes and half the tribe of Manasseh. With the other half tribe of Manasseh, the Reubenites and the Gadites received their inheritance, which Moses gave them beyond the Jordan, eastward, as Moses the servant of the Lord gave them, from Aroer, which is on the edge of the valley of Arnon, and the city that is in the middle of the valley, and all the tableland of Medeba, as far as Dibon, and all the cities of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon, as far as the boundary of the Ammonites, and Gilead, and the region of Geshurites, and Maacathites, and all Mount Hermon, and all Bashan, to Selcah, and all the kingdoms of Og of Bashan, who reigned in Ashtaroth, and in Edrei. He alone was left of the remnant of the Rephaim. These Moses had struck and driven out. Yet the people of Israel did not drive out the Geshurites or the Maacathites, but Jeshur and Maacath dwell in the midst of Israel to this day. To the tribe of Levi alone Moses gave no inheritance. The offerings by fire to the Lord God of Israel are their inheritance, as he said to them. And Moses gave an inheritance to the tribe of the people of Reuben according to their clans. So their territory was from Aroer, which is on the edge of the valley of Arnon, and the city that is in the middle of the valley, and all the tableland of Medeba, with Hashbon, and all its cities that are in the tableland, Dibon, and Baalmoth Baal, and Beth Baal Meon, and Jerhaz, and Kedemoth, and Mephaath, and Kirahaim, and Sibmah, and Zereth Shashar on the hill of the valley, and Beth Peor, and the slopes of Pisgah, and Beth Jeshimon, that is all the cities of the tableland, and all the kingdom of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned at Heshbon, whom Moses defeated with the leaders of Midian, Evi, Rechem, and Anzur, and Hur, and Reba, the sons of Sion, who lived in the land. Baalam, also the son of Beor, the one who practiced divination, was killed with the sword by the people of Israel among the rest of their slain. And the border of the people of Reuben was on the Jordan as a boundary. This was the inheritance of the people of Reuben, according to their clans with their cities and villages. Moses gave an inheritance also to the tribe of Gad, to the people of Gad according to their clans. Their territory was Jazer, and all the cities of Gilead, and half the land of the Amorites to Aroer, which is east of Rabbah, and from Heshbon to Ramath Mizpah, and Betonim, and from Mahanaim to the territory of Debir, which is in the valley of Beth Haram, and Beth Nimrah, Succoth, and Zaphon, the rest of the kingdom of Sihon, king of Heshbon, having the Jordan as a boundary, to the lower end of the Sea of Chinnereth, eastward beyond the Jordan. This is the inheritance of the people of Gad according to their clans, with their cities and villages. And Moses gave an inheritance to the half-tribe of Manasseh. It was allotted to the half-tribe of the people of Manasseh according to their clans. Their region extended from Mahanaim through all Bashan, the whole kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, and all the towns of Jair, which are in Bashan, 60 cities, and half Gilead, and Ashtaroth, and Edrei, the cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan. These were allotted to the people of Machir, the son of Manasseh, for half the people of Machir, according to their clans. These are the inheritances that Moses distributed in the plains of Moab, beyond the Jordan, east of Jericho. But to the tribe of Levi Moses gave no inheritance. The Lord God of Israel is their inheritance, just as he said to them. These are the inhabitants of the people of Israel. These are the inheritances that the people of Israel received in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest and Joshua son of Nun and the heads of their fathers, houses of the tribes of the people of Israel, gave them to inherit. Their inheritance was by lot, just as the Lord had commanded by the hand of Moses, for the 9 1/2 tribes. For Moses had given an inheritance to 2 1/2 tribes beyond Jordan, but to the Levites he gave no inheritance among them. For the people of Joseph were 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim, and no portion was given to the Levites in the land, but only cities to dwell in, with their pasture lands for their livestock and their substance. The people of Israel did as the Lord commanded Moses. They allotted the land. Then the people of Judah came to Joshua at Gilgal, and Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite said to him, "You know what the Lord said to Moses, the man of God, in Kadesh Barnea, concerning you and me. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land, and I brought him word again that it was as it was in my heart. But my brothers, who went out with me, made the heart of the people melt. Yet I wholly follow the Lord my God." And Moses swore on that day, saying, "Surely the land on which your foot has trodden shall be an inheritance for you and your children forever, because you have wholly followed the Lord my God. And now, behold, the Lord has kept me alive, just as he said, these 45 years since the time that the Lord spoke his word to Moses, while Israel walked in the wilderness. And now, behold, I am this day 85 years old. I am still as strong today as I was in the day that Moses sent me. My strength is now as my strength was then, for war and for going and coming. So now give me this hill country of which the Lord spoke on that day, for you heard on that day how the Anakim were there, with great fortified cities. It may be that the Lord will be with me, and I shall drive them out, just as the Lord said. Then Joshua blessed him and gave Hebron to Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, for an inheritance. Therefore Hebron became the inheritance of Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, to this day, because he wholly followed the Lord, the God of Israel. Now the name of Hebron formerly was Kiriath Arba. Arba was the greatest man among the Anakim, and the land had rest from war. The allotment for the tribe of the people of Judah, according to their clans, reached southward to the boundary of Edom, to the wilderness of Zin at the farthest south. And their south boundary ran from the end of the Salt Sea, from the bay that faces southward. It goes out southward of the ascent of Akarabim, passes along to Zin, and goes up the south of Kadesh Barnea, along by Hezron up to Adar, turns about to Karka, passes along to Asmon, goes out by the brook of Egypt. It comes to its end at the sea. This shall be your south boundary. And the east boundary is the Salt Sea to the mouth of the Jordan. And the boundary on the north side runs from the bay of the sea at the mouth of the Jordan. And the boundary goes up to Beth Hoglah and passes along the north of Beth Araba. And the boundary goes up to the stone of Bohan, the son of Reuben. And the boundary goes up to Debir from the valley of Achor, and so northward, turning toward Gilgal, which is opposite the ascent of Adumim, which is on the south side of the valley. And the boundary passes along to the waters of En-Shemesh and ends at En-Rogel. Then the boundary goes up by the valley of the son of Hinnom, at the southern shoulder of the Jebusite, that is Jerusalem. And the boundary goes up to the top of the mountain that lies over against the valley of Hinnom on the west at the northern end of the valley of Raphaim. Then the boundary extends from the top of the mountain to the spring of the waters of Nephtoah, and from there to the cities of Mount Ephron. Then the boundary bends around Baalah, that is Kiriath Jearim, and the boundary circles to the west of Baalah to Mount Seir, passes along to the northern shoulder of Mount Jearim, that is Cheshalon, and goes down to Bethshemeth and passes along by Timnah. The boundary that goes out to the shoulder of the hill north of Ekron, and then the boundary bends around to Shekeron and passes along to Mount Baalah and goes out to Jabneel. Then the boundary comes to its end at the sea. And the west boundary was the great sea with its coastline. This is the boundary around the people of Judah according to their clans. According to the commandment of the Lord to Joshua, he gave to Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, a portion among the people of Judah. Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron. Arba was the father of Anak. And Caleb drove out from there the three sons of Anak, Shishai, and Ammon, and Talmai, the descendants of Anak. And he went up from there against the inhabitants of Debir. Now the name of Debir formerly was Kiriath Sepher. And Caleb said, whoever strikes Kiriath Sepher and captures it, to him I will give Achsah, my daughter, as wife. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, the brother of Caleb, captured it, and he gave him Achsah, his daughter, as wife. When she came to him, she urged him to ask her father for a field. And she got off her donkey, and Caleb said to her, what do you want? She said to him, give me a blessing, since you have given me the land of the Negev. Give me also springs of water. and he gave her the upper springs and the lower springs. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the people of Judah according to their clans, the cities belonging to the tribe of the people of Judah in the extreme south toward the borderland of Edom, were Kabzeel, Eder, Jagur, Kinna, Dimona, Ada, Kedesh, Hazor, Ithnan, Ziph, Zelem, Beloth, Hazor, Hadattah, Kerioth, Hezron, that is, Hazor, Amam, Seba, Moladah, Hazar-Gada, Heshmon, Beth-Pelet, Hazar-Shua, Beersheba, Bizi-Othia, Be'oah, Aim, Ezim, Eltolad, Kesil, Hormah, Ziklag, Madmannah, Sasana, Leboath, Shilhim, Ain, and Rimmon, in all 29 cities with their villages. And in the lowland, Eshtaol, Zorah, Ashna, Zanona, En-Genim, Tapua, Inam, Jarmuth, Adullam, Sokah, Ezekah, She'araim, Adi, Taim, Gederah, Gederothaim, 14 cities with their villages. Zinan, Hadashah, Migdalgad, Dilean, Mizpah, Joktheel, Lachish, Bozkath, Eglon, Kabon, Lamam, Chiklash, Gederoth, Beth Dagon, Naamah, Makkedah, 16 cities with their villages. Libnah, Etharsh, Ashan, Iftah, Ashnan, Nezib, Keilah, Akzib, and Mareshah, 9 cities with their villages. Ekron, with its towns and villages, from Ekron to the sea, all that were by the side of Ashdod with their villages. Ashdod, its towns and villages, Gaza, its town and its villages, to the brook of Egypt, and to the great sea with its coastline. And in the hill country, Shamir, Jatir, Sakah, Dana, Kirath Sana, that is Debir, Anab, Eshtemoa, Anim, Goshen, Holon, and Gilah, 11 cities with their villages. Arab, Duma, Eshon, Janim, Beth Tapua, Ephekah, Humta, Kirath Arba, that is Hebron, and Zior, 9 cities with their villages. Maon, Carmel, Ziph, Juttah, Jezreel, Jokdeam, Zanoah, Cain, Gibeah, and Timnah, 10 cities with their villages. Halhun, Beth Zur, Gedor, Ma'arath, Beth Anon, and El-Tekon, 6 cities with their villages. Kirath Baal, that is Kiriath Jearim, and Rabbah, 2 cities with their villages. In the wilderness, Beth Araba, Middin, Sekakah, Nibshin, the city of Salt, and En-Gedi, 6 cities with their villages. But the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the people of Judah, could not drive out. So the Jebusites dwell with the people of Judah at Jerusalem to this day. Here ends the reading of Joshua 11 through 15. Joshua 11 through 15, the English Standard Version by Crossways Publishing.